Hi everyone, Denise from Salvaged Inspirations, and today's all about how to reupholster a chair seat. Reupholstering is the easiest way to update an old chair. I was working with these probably waiting room chairs from the 80s, and I turned it into this gorgeous animal print side chair for just $5 a meter. So just let me get set up and I'll be right back.
Let's start. Here's the fun part.
So first, a disclaimer, working with fabric intimidates me. From going and shopping for it, I get overwhelmed with all the choices, and actually sewing or reupholstering or anything to do with fabric does intimidate me. So full disclaimer here, I am not a professional upholsterer, and I'm sure this is the quick and dirty way to do it. However, if I can do it, you can do it, definitely. And this is pretty darn easy. Also, I do have some professional reupholstery tips for you because Marion, an SI blog reader who has been doing gorgeous reupholstery projects, left me a message in the comments section on Salvaged Inspirations when I posted this, so I'll be sure to share them all with you. So just to recap on what you've seen here, I've removed the chair seat, and this is really easy to do. Most of the time, not all, but most of the time, chair seats are held in by 4 screws underneath the seat. So if you unscrew those screws, the chair seat will pop right out. And here, I'm actually removing the old fabric by taking out the staples. You can use an old screwdriver for this. If you have a staple remover, that's great. And I also use a pair of pliers just to pull them out. I find it a lot easier and it works quickly that way. Once I removed the old fabric, I was left with the foam on the seat, and I didn't want to put new fabric on top of the old foam, so I used a cotton batting that I had on hand to make the barrier between the foam and the new material. And all I did was laid this cotton batting on top of the seat, cut around a good 4 inches, leaving a good 4 inches leeway around each side, and then I stapled it to the seat. That said, I have a pro tip for you, which, like I said, Marion left on the blog. Foam disintegrates and becomes harder and crumbly over the years. So she suggested that if the foam still looks half decent, an existing foam can be steamed to kill the existing germs and rejuvenate it. I did not know that. Also, if the foam looks really in bad shape, putting on a new foam is probably the best idea. It will give you some more cushion. It will obviously last a lot longer, and new foam is a great idea if you want to take that route as well. Here I'm attaching the cotton batting. With the 4-inch leeway, I just pull it taut around each side. I do 1 staple in every side, just to make sure that it's nice and taut, and then I will go along the edges and put in the rest of the staples. For the corners, I use it like a present. That kind of wrap it like a present. So for the corner, I will pull the corner taut and put in 1 staple. I will take the right or left side and fold it over. Then I will take the opposite side and fold it over, and then I will put in 2 staples to hold it. And this usually gives me really nice, clean corners. I also want to mention that I'm using a pneumatic staple gun, an upholstery stapler, which is a phenomenal tool. I love it. It is so easy to use. And if you have a compressor, I highly recommend getting one of these. It makes upholstering jobs so much easier and so quick to do. That said, there's some fabulous manual staplers, upholstery staplers on the market as well, and they can run anywhere between $10 and $30. They do not require an air compressor. It just requires a little elbow grease, and they work just as well. Another Pro tip is stapling the batting right on the edge of the plywood instead of underneath it. I did not know this. I just stapled it underneath as I did the fabric. But I guess if you put it right on the edge of the plywood, staple it right onto the edge of the plywood, it would be a much cleaner look. Now for centering this animal print, it's not a perfect geometrical print, otherwise I could have measured, but this one I had to eyeball. And I wanted the darker stripe in the middle of the seat, so I just kind of eyeballed it and placed it as best I could. Once I had it centered and in place where I like the looks of it, I flipped the seat over, hooked up my upholstery gun, and I pulled each side nice and taut and put in one staple. So I did that on one side, then from the opposite side I pulled and would add a staple, one staple, and then I would go to the opposite side, pull taut, and put in one staple. So all four sides were pulled nice and taut and had one staple in each side. I flipped it over to make sure it all looked good. And then I went back and started adding the staples all along the side. I was adding them, I would say, every inch and a half, I guess. And I just continued to work my way around until the entire seat fabric was all attached. As you can see, I find it so much easier when there is a lot more extra fabric to pull taut. I find it so much easier than just having like an inch or 2 inches on either side. So if you can afford having the extra fabric, I would suggest doing it and then just cutting off the excess afterwards. I think most people would find this much easier than working with just a tiny little bit of fabric on each end. When it comes to the corners, again, I did it the exact same way as the batting, but I'm gonna show it again in a slow motion because I know that this is the biggest problem for a lot of people. Corners, I don't know, it confused me for the longest time, so I'm guessing I'm not the only one. So again, I pull the corner tight and I put in one staple to hold it there. Then I take either the right or left side and make a fold and fold it in like you would when you're wrapping a present. Then I take the opposite side, fold it in over the first and put in 2 staples. Again, I pull it taut in the center, put in 1 staple, fold over one side and bring it over. Do the opposite side, fold it over, and put in 2 staples to hold it, just like you would wrapping a present. The last step I did was cutting off all the excess fabric on the back, just so there's not a whole lot of bulk when I placed it back into the seat. And once I placed it back into the seat, I was so happy. It looked fabulous. For the back of the chair, I'm not going to get into too much detail because honestly, I was just winging it. I've never recovered a back of a chair quite like this, but I did notice that the fabric was attached at the very bottom lip of the back. So I did the same. I draped the fabric matching the pattern as best I could, and then I cut off the excess, leaving probably about a good 3 to 4 inches overhang on each side. holding it taut, what I did was I folded the edges and then I attached it, as I mentioned, on the underside of this backing. And I just kind of worked my way around it inch by inch, trying to do the very best I can. And for the sides, I folded them under. And I haven't done this yet, but I will actually be using some invisible thread or some matching thread, and I'll be holding it down with a few stitches. So this is how it all came together. Again, these were 80s chairs that I picked up from the Restore for $15. And now they are gorgeous side chairs, gorgeous animal print side chairs. And I couldn't be more pleased with how they all came together. I'll admit I was a little nervous about the fabric because it was out of my comfort zone using the animal print, but I am thrilled with the way it all came together, and I hope you are too. I hope this video has really helped you if you're thinking about reupholstering a chair seat. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. And yay, I hit 10,000 subscribers. So thank you so much, everybody. I really, really appreciate your support. Feel free to subscribe and hit that bell, and I will see you next time. Take care and have a great day.